how do we stay relevant, right? This generation coming through doesn't know a world where there's just independence. And so being independent, being family owned is incredibly important to us. There's not too many left. And so we're really flying the flag against the big guys.
G'day guys, and welcome back, or if you're new here, welcome to an episode of the Build Insite Podcast. Today is a very, very special day. We are actually live in the Circa studio in Port Melbourne at the Bowens hardware store here. We've got two very important guests with us here. We've got Andy Bowen and Luke McEnany from Bowens themselves. Guys, I'm going to pass it over to you guys and just give us a bit of an introduction on yourselves and what your role is at Bowens and what we're doing here.
So I'm Andy Bowen. I am a director of the business. I have been here now at Bowens for 10 years. Had a bit of a different background to my brother and the rest of the family, but my role in the business is largely around the growth. That includes property, really all things digital. Since I've come back, there's been a lot of expansion, a lot of change in the business, and that's been a great thing.
Good to hear.
Yep.
Luke?
Luke McEnany. I'm head of sales. Been with the company for 31 years. So, again, probably talk a little bit more about that later. But so I oversee the sales team. We've got 50 account managers now. We've got 9 people as BDM, innovation team, and then Circa also I oversee.
That's amazing, guys. Andy, can we start with you? You've just sort of touched on the expansion of Bowens. Can we talk a little bit about the challenges and some of the successes that go along with such a big family business in a massive industry in the construction?
So we're a family business, as you said. We're 131 years old. So if you're trying to modernise a business in this industry in particular, there's a lot of change that has to happen. And it's not just around physical locations, but we've got decades of legacy systems that needed to be cleaned up, and we continue to do that to this day. So data is a real challenge when you're trying to modernise a business and particularly have a digital offer to market. And but then you've also got to change the mindset of the people in the business as well. They've got to be willing to change and grow, and that's a challenge unto itself as well. So it's been fun though. It has been fun, and we have come a long, long way. We really up until the late 1960s, we had one store. And so there's been a lot of growth, really thanks to my father, who did a phenomenal job of growing us into other markets. And then my brother took over from there, and we continue to go down that path. But particularly over the last sort of 10, 15 years, I think Luke can agree, he's been along for a lot longer than I have, and probably joined a very different business 30 years ago, Luke.
Far more professional business now than what it was. I mean, when I started at Bowens, I remember it was the early 90s. So we're in a really bad area at that period of time with building and stuff. So my first day was at East Bentley with half lights just to try and keep the bills down and stuff like that. So we've come a very long way. We've had our hard times, but we're a much more professional business than what we were, and Andy's a big part of that.
Yeah, I suppose, look, that's so interesting. I'm an 80s baby, so I'm getting on a little bit now as well, but we've, in my lifetime, grown up through that technology phase. Like I think when my dad was in the construction industry, they might have had a big block phone to go and use from occasions, but you've probably seen the industry change throughout the technology phases. And just also, guys, how many stores is Bowens up to at the moment? There's been a couple of new big openings.
19 at the moment, be 20. We're adding our 20th branch in July this year. So it's exciting in Heidelberg.
Incredible.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Before we do go too far, Andy, away from your background. So you obviously you previously worked in the finance industry in New York. Mm-hmm. What brings you back to the building company, and how has your experience in that? Obviously, that's brought some change into the Bowens.
I was having a great time in New York. Yep, I was. I studied commerce. The family was quite keen for me to do something different, which I appreciate.
Yep.
And so I went to work in banking and finance. I started here at Goldman Sachs JB Weir, and then after 5 years, thought, I want to try and get out and see the world. So looked for work overseas, and eventually ended up at JP Morgan in New York, which was an incredible experience, and I think has been a real benefit to me. It took a few years to be convinced to come back to the business. I got to admit. I met my wife in New York. We got married there. She was Australian, though. She's Australian, so it wasn't too difficult decision to come back to Australia. But I think my brother was John, who's our CEO. He sort of laid out this plan that Bowens, we're gonna grow and evolve, and I want you to be part of that. And I wouldn't have come back if the business wasn't willing to do that, to be quite honest with you. We really needed to change and the business a little bit in terms of modernizing, and that was really out of necessity more than anything else. You're an 80s baby. I'm not sure when
I'm 90s actually.
Okay, that makes me feel
Rub it in, mate.
I'm 70s.
Moving on.
Yeah. Well, at least the three of us grew up with probably an independent hardware store in your neighbourhood.
Yep.
Right. One you could go to and buy hardware or timber. You may not remember a time before Mitre 10 and Bunnings, probably. I'm not sure, but Bunnings has been around probably since the 90s, Luke.
Yeah. They have been.
So we're dealing with this next generation of trades, and let's go back 10 years. We're thinking, geez, how do we stay relevant, right? This generation coming through doesn't know a world where there's just independence. And so being independent, being family owned is incredibly important to us. There's not too many left. And so we're really flying the flag against the big guys. And I love that. I love that story. And we've managed to grow, but do it in a way that's really out of necessity, more than just a rapid expansion where we're growing because a store literally gets too busy and we're moving into new markets.
Yep.
And so growing the business but evolving it and modernising it was a big part of the reason why I came back, and I've loved it. I've loved every minute of it. I don't regret coming back, although I love the old industry I was in. Had a great life in the US, but I've learned a lot and enjoyed it.
I think my short experience with Bowens as well, like coming from Adelaide, obviously you guys are only based over here. I'd love one day, maybe we could talk about this off air, but a store in Adelaide would be great, thanks. But yeah, just seeing how different the culture is in a hardware store business like yours, obviously being a part of the expo last year and meeting people like Luke. Andy, I don't think I met you on the day, but how many people have been with Bowens for, say, Luke, 31 years or 31 years, and how many people have been with such an extended period of time? Obviously, the culture inside the business to actually have people that are so invested in it, and the personal drive to do well for everybody as well. It's a very rare thing to come by nowadays, and I think that having that independence that you've got, it's definitely making a difference.
Definitely.
We're quite transparent with the journey that is going on with our people, and I think that's appreciated. So they feel that the Bowens Group and family, everyone in the business, they feel like they're really a part of that journey because they are, and it really is a people business.
Yep.
We can try and digitize as much as we can to really make it easier for customers to do business. But ultimately, without people delivering the product to site on time and in full, that's a really tough thing to continue to grow and create trust internally.
I can relate to that on a much, much smaller scale at the moment. Obviously, in our building company, we've had some rapid growth in the past 12 months. We're up to 12 employees now, going from 5 at the start of last year. Obviously, having that personal connection with people, exactly what you touched on. If you're not involving them and telling them the plan that you're on as well and getting them on board, you can't do it all on your own, can you?
I think, look, that's the big thing. It's the Bowens family still being involved. It's our culture. So that's why I think we're been so successful in opening our 20th branch.
Yeah.
Right.
And so, Andy, coming from the Big Apple, mate, and Luke, you've come through for a few decades of the journey, but obviously, as we go back to the whole technology side of things, our big thing that Bowens do amazingly, and I can say that from my building perspective in Victoria and Melbourne, is the e-commerce side of what Bowens are pushing, and marketing. Marketing is everything now in business.
Yeah.
If you're not doing it, or you're not doing it right, it can really damage or hold your brand back.
Well, I did a small stint of marketing, and when Andy came into the business, obviously had a was much more excited about marketing and where we could what we could do with it. We'd had one person in marketing for a very, very long period of time, and way we marketed at that time was through our account managers, getting out to as many sites as we possibly could, and making sure that we were the first to be seen. And Andy and his team, and he's now created a large team of people that now do that for us. And I think our brand recognition now is something that's we would have never dreamed of 5 years ago, 10 years ago. So years ago, you'd say you'd work for Bowens, and people would say, what do they do? And you'd have to spend the time explaining. Now, I think with, as I say, the brand awareness and what we've been doing has been fantastic. People know who we are and what we do, and that it's a professional company.
Yep. I have seen in recent weeks with the AFL season kicking off, we've got the Bowens signage going around the MCG for the Collingwood games. I'm not complaining because I'm a Collingwood supporter, but there's a lot of awareness, obviously, getting around that for some packed houses coming up. Some big games. That must be exciting.
I made that decision, and I'm not a Collingwood supporter.
I did hear that, Andy.
And
it's a few upset people.
Yeah. Look, there's another company owns our category with the AFL, so they won't allow us to advertise with the AFL. During COVID, we did some outdoor media, some billboards, because the rates were cheap.
Yep.
And tradies were the only ones on the road. So there was an opportunity to do that. And I've always wanted to do the LED in-game live sport, but the clubs get an allocation of the LED signage.
Yeah,
so far
huge.
So good. yeah,
definitely good.
But the e-commerce journey raised before, there's going to be an expectation from builders, I think, in the future, that you've got your product online, you've got product pricing online, individual product pricing, anything you should be doing with an account manager, the business, should be able to do it online. And that's not to replace the account manager. That's just to make that experience a whole lot easier. Our stores are open from 6 till 5. Not all of them, but some of them. But after 5 o'clock, it can be difficult to get people on the phone.
Yeah.
We understand a lot of tradies are doing their admin at home at night. We can't switch off. So the business really has to be 24/7, and having an online offer allows us to do that. So everything you would otherwise do on the phone, you can do it online at Bowens. We're not forcing people to buy online. We're not forcing you to use it, but it's meant to be an extension of your business, and it's meant to make your life easier.
Yeah, and I think there's so many things that you guys are doing that is making life easier. Out of our business, build a bit more rurally. My brother handles more the metro stuff, but if we need something, I think Darren's become the Uber Bowens specialist, and little things like getting on. Just been having a chat with a couple of the Bowens reps about the integration. We've just switched from Build Exact to Wonderbuild, and we were used to seeing the Build Exact integration with the pricing list. It was so user friendly. So I know they're in conversation now with getting that further along with other estimation softwares. But they're just the little things from our builder's perspective that just show that you guys are definitely moving with the times. From what we can see and talk with other suppliers, plumbing suppliers and so forth, it's not there in a lot of the industry, which is amazing for us in Vic to have, this at our disposal.
I mean, you raised the plumbing industry. I think Reece have done a really good job. We take a bit of inspiration from that business. You raised Uber before, so I've got a little story for you about Uber. Everyone else is sort of jumping on there now. Ultimately, you do that to try and get the product to site as quickly as possible, minimize disruption on site. But the way it came about was I was playing golf with the chairman of JB Hi-Fi, and I said, "Are you guys doing anything interesting or anything we should be thinking about?" And he said, "Oh, actually, we've just started this thing with Uber. You should look into that. I'll have a chat about that later. And the reason they did it was because they have this amazing bricks and mortar business, right? And they are concerned about marketplaces and Amazon. How do we get the product to the customer faster? And really, it was clever, really clever. So they started rolling out this Uber offer where you could, if it fits in a box, it can be delivered within an hour. And I thought, I'm going to try this out. So I tried it. I literally got the product within 33 minutes. And I thought, why can't this work in our industry? And so my team, led by a phenomenal guy, head of e-commerce at Bowens, really drove that. And we had an offer up with Uber within 60 days.
Yeah.
And that's because we manage all that work in-house, and we were able to really get that going. A lot of builders, once you've introduced it to them, once they've used it once, they're all coming back and using it again, and it makes a lot of sense. We've done a pretty good job of promoting that, but part of the whole Collingwood thing and branding exercise for Bowens is to try and get these messages out there. Difficult at times when you're communicating to quite a small audience. But we've got to try and get those messages out because it does make life easier for customers.
Definitely. There's no talks in the work with Uber getting roof racks at all. That would be a good next step, I think. Our drivers are meant to be able to do that for you too. I mean, a big part of what we're doing is same-day delivery as well. It sounds simple, but it's not an easy thing to execute on. Every store does same-day delivery.
Yep.
They all work together, so it doesn't matter where you're building.
How many golf games are you having?
Not enough.
I need to jump in here for a minute, guys, to thank our sponsors, Backman Builders and Calorie Building. Without the support of these businesses, the Build Insite podcast wouldn't be possible. Take a moment to go and show some support for them so they can continue to support us, bringing you the Build Insite podcast. Can we segue a little bit, guys? Obviously, it's all about the product because you obviously have the product to sell to builders. What I've noticed from my short time in dealings with you guys, the innovation that you've got in introducing new, more sustainable and eco-friendly products. How did this all come about? It's incredible to watch it and realising the people that you've got in the business to research new products and bring them on as well. Can we go into a bit of detail on this?
Yeah, look, we'll go way back. So we sold a lot of framing and were recognised as a business that would just sell framing timber. And we thought, no, we've got to be more than this. So we started looking at cladding products and venturing further into that. But as time's gone on and our market's changing, we employed Andrew Healy probably 8 years ago now to take on a role of looking for innovative products. So we wanted to be the first to market with these new products so that we were seen as the conduit to the trade for innovative products. So we ventured out with a product called Ozone Panel originally, which was a SIPS panel. And we're probably too early into the market. There was, the consumer would buy it, but it wasn't recognised from the builders as much. But that was probably the starting point of saying, hey, there's something really in this. Let's continue on. And Hills has done a fantastic job in finding those products and right down to all these tapes. He's been passionate about tapes for a very long time.
He's the tape man, isn't he?
We all thought he was crazy, but 5 years later, now they're a big part of the build and they're required for 7-star and, where's it going to finish, 7-star and beyond.
Everyone's being left behind without them now, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly right. I think, too, it changes our conversation. If we're just out there speaking to a builder about framing, all we look like is we're trying to sell the guy the next product. And it's not just about that. We want to be a part of their business. And
I've actually got the perfect example to explain to the listeners on how much you guys are invested in improving your staff's knowledge as well. I actually, late last year, I did my Passive House Tradesperson's course. Yeah. I'm yet to do the exam for it, but I popped onto a Zoom call there one day and I noticed a few familiar faces there. There was Damo and Hawley from our BDMs. Your BDMs on there doing the course as well.
Yeah, look, we noticed with 7-star there was a real change in the market of that people wanted to build better and that 7-star was just going to be the beginning. And we thought Damien had a real passion for it and so did Alan. So we thought, well, let's put 2 guys into this area and put them in and get them trained up in it. I don't think they're that keen to do the exam, but hey, that's all part of it. So having 2 guys that are, trained up in looking at those products and seeing what the builders are going to need, not just for today, but who knows in the next 5 or 10 years. It's a real point of difference for what we're putting out there to others.
Yeah. And Luke, it's funny talking before, mate, where you're just a framing sales company, basically.
Yeah.
So when I first started out, I had the account with Bowens, and actually it wasn't until now I sort of thought that's actually how it was. It was, you wouldn't really go into store to get stuff. You'd have other competitors around the corner.
Yeah.
Whereas now, when you're dealing with it, we've had Damo worked pretty hard to get back and builders in, and we were already down that rabbit hole of high performance building, passive house homes.
Yeah.
I think the exciting thing is with Bowens is that's where the industry needs to go from the NCC side of things.
Yeah.
And you guys did do the roadshow to upskill builders and get the knowledge out there. But you guys are actually in that rabbit hole as well, diving straight in. And you'd see it from procurement of products and materials with heels and so forth. Yeah. How much side of it have you seen with the growth, and is there challenges you face with the builders to get that product out there?
Yeah, look, there's an appetite, I'd say, what it is at the moment, of builders wanting to look at things. If they're all heading that way right now, no, but there is definitely an appetite for them to be building better in the future. People like yourselves and the SBA too that we're dealing with are getting builders that are more interested in, doing better, building better, wrapping their houses up a lot more thermally better. It's definitely there's an appetite there. There's it makes us look for different products all the time now for that. So we were in a business the other week just in that using recycled denim and products like that for insulation, and so it's not just us looking for it, but there is industries out there too looking at being more sustainable.
Yeah, and you obviously building those relationships for the builders. You're not going to use a product that you don't see to be trusted, or another company that can't be trusted. So that's one thing we love about it. If there's a product on your shelf, it's
we do a lot of testing down to screws. That we take them down to our Hastings branch. We've got a big shed out there, and we test away, and we know which ones are the best ones for what application.
As in, like, just a specific Bowens testing station?
Yeah. So when we bring out new products, like Spantech was one, and it's very different to what we're used to selling because it's steel rather than timber. But to give people the best benefit when they're out on site, we wanted to make sure they had the right screws so they weren't breaking screws off and going, this is a horrible product. If they decide to use it, they got the best experience on the right screws to be able to do what they need.
Yep. All right. I was going to lead into my next question, was actually going to be what's something like a look behind the counter, what's something that people don't know about Bowen stores, but I think there's been that many already.
Yeah. That training centre is a big part of that. We'd previously done and will continue to be doing boot camps. I did it when I started. I didn't know the first thing about building, and I'm not going to profess to know that much, but I know enough to be dangerous because I went through a 10-week course of building, and we want to put our staff through that process so they understand the process and the struggles and difficulties on site and working with product. And then beyond that, with all these innovative products that we're talking about now, our staff also need to be trained on those products too.
Yes.
So
it's an important part. I think innovation's great, but if they don't know the way a building is constructed, they never know when to sell it in or have that conversation. So they build a frame, they put windows in through this program that we do down at Hastings, so they get a real understanding of how our house is built, and then what other products we can offer through that.
Yeah. I think that's really important in every business. We've done that a little bit differently with going back to comparing previous staff members as little as in an admin role. If they're stuck away in the office and all they're doing is looking at emails come through, sending invoices, that sort of thing, if they're not actually viewing the site and understanding how the process actually works, we do that a bit different with all of our current team members. Even if they're not an on-site role, we still try and keep them involved in it and take them to site, whether it's once a week or once a month, just to show them in person what the stage of the build is at, and then they get that appreciation for how it actually works. So it's definitely an important part.
It is 100%. And people can't just read something and go, oh, yeah, now I know about it. They've physically got to see it and understand it. So same sort of thing. We get our staff out, from our internal staff out with our account managers team, and they might follow a job through the process of frame, lock up, fix the whole way through, so they know how it's done.
And guys, culture is a massive part of any business team environment, and pushing 20 stores. So Andy, you've grown up in the business, pledged to wings, gone away, and then come back. And obviously, Luke, you've grown up your whole professional career in the business. So as the business is growing, what are some things that Bowens are doing to get that culture out there? So I spoke about the boot camp there, Andy, with the knowledge side of things, but obviously every store is going to have faces and names change all the time. So can we touch on that, about some things that Bowens are doing behind the scenes?
You want to touch on Bowens TV?
Yeah, I mean, this is a small part of it, very small, but we put a fair bit of work into something called Insider TV, which is a monthly broadcast to all staff, hosted by my brother, our CEO. So, and in that episode, we're talking about anything that's relevant to our business or the industry or things that are going on at the time, and that seems to keep everyone pretty well informed.
I think the other part, we're fairly hands-on as a business. So everyone's approachable. Andy's approachable. John's approachable. Myself and our general manager, Ron Peter, out at the branches every month. We're having regular meetings with them. We have a team as well that helps us with that. But I reckon that's what keeps the culture together, so everyone's on the same page. And through the market that we've just been through with the downturn, that's really helped us, that everyone's knowing what our expectations are, what we're wanting to do, where we're heading, along with the Bowens TV and a number of other things that we do, gets us all on the same page.
Yeah, we don't have a head office. We have a support office.
Yeah.
And if you walk into support office any day of the week, they'll probably it's really hard to learn people's names as well because no one's ever at their desk. And they're meant to be out there in the store network, supporting the store network. It doesn't matter whether it's merchandising, e-commerce, marketing. We want them out at the stores. Yeah. That's where they're going to learn where the problems are, or if there's what they should be working on next, how to prioritise their work. So I'm always keen on my team understanding what our customers' needs are firsthand.
And we were definitely fortunate enough to be invited to head to the expo last year with a bit of the filming gear and actually record a podcast on stage. Yep. So, I've been to the expo years gone past, probably pre-COVID. Obviously, it's kind of an expo show on steroids now. I don't think there's anything else in Australia that doing what you've done, and it's a biannual expo that you're putting out. So
we'd burn everyone out if we did every year. A lot goes into it, but I think the last one we had almost 140 exhibitors. And look, the feedback's been really positive. It's almost like a celebration of business and how far we've come at that expo. But it's all about innovation. So we ask every supplier to make sure they are bringing something innovative to the space when we do the expo. Otherwise, you just end up with the same old stuff, and we're not interested in that. We want builders coming to that expo, learning something, seeing new things, and again, Luke and the innovation team is a big part of that, and it makes for a much more interesting night. Sure. So we love that, but it's every second year is more than enough.
There was definitely some products there that both Luke and myself have put out to our own businesses since the expo and seeing it in person.
And look, that was the exciting bit when I heard that, because you guys are in that sustainable area with building, and for you guys to find products means that our show actually works, like there's products out there.
Definitely. And I think the space we're sitting in too, guys, we're in Circa, so this was your baby, guys, to kind of get the showroom together.
John's had a vision for a long time that he wants to show a showroom to show. And I think, again, we talked about, we were seen as a framing business a long time ago. This, along with e-commerce, sets off what our broad range of products that we do actually sell into the market. So, so really we've got a lot of small to medium-sized builders. We also deal with the top end of town as well, but they've got their display homes, they've got their selection centres, and we thought, well, our smaller builders don't have that. Yeah. And so where are they sending their customers to do selections and things like that? So this is what John came up with, and along with Andy, who did most of the construction of and organising of this. So it's fantastic. I mean, it's a great spot. It's professionalises, I feel, our builders' businesses, because they actually, when someone says, where do I go and have a look? Hang on, I'll organise an appointment at Circa for you, and you can go in and do all that, rather than I'll just go down here and have a look at it over there and stuff like that. They've got somewhere genuine to send them to.
Definitely. And I think it's the confidence that by having this, you give to your builders such as Luke and myself to, once you know the centre and you know what's here, you can just send your clients in because they're in good hands.
Definitely.
Coming through your accounts team as well. And it's ticking quite a few boxes for sure.
Yeah. And look, the people that we have here, we have Suzanne, who's the manager here, comes from a design background. We've also got an architect that works here in John, and also Steve, who's got 40 odd years of experience in door furniture, and he's a whiz on it. So I find it boring. He loves it.
No, that's amazing, mate. All right, guys, we're sort of getting towards the back end of it now. You two are obviously very busy individuals, so we won't hold you all day. I've just got a bit of an open-ended question for both of you. Can you pinpoint one of the most rewarding moments so far working for Bowens?
I think for me, trying to modernise the business a little bit, I think that the launch of the website was a big moment. It seems a really basic thing to have an online offer these days, doesn't it? But in this industry, it's to be able to actually take someone to point of sale online is not an easy thing to do. As simple timber products can have up to 70 variations on that one product. So it was a real challenge putting that together, and a lot of work went into it, not just from the e-commerce team, digital marketing team behind it, but also the team in merchandising that were working with these legacy systems, old coding. We've been through so much change, and to get to that point then and there, and it was always going to continue to grow. This isn't a set and forget. There is so much work and investment that goes into that digital offer that was a monumental moment. I think Luke, the whole lead team should be really proud of what the business has done to get it to this point, and we're really setting it up for the future. And although we're fourth generation, I'd love to think there's a fifth, sixth, seventh generation. We want this business to remain independent, be family owned, and I think we're setting it up for the future. So that one moment was quite pivotal.
Great answer and a fantastic explanation.
Look, I think there's so many personal ones that I've had through the journeys, but I really just what Andy said then, it's where the business is heading, how it's matured, and where we are today as a company, that we're working for a family that wants to continue to grow and employ more people. We're in Victoria today. You want us in Adelaide. I'm sure there's a few of us want to get to Queensland.
I know we've got listeners in other states and maybe New Zealand too, Luke.
But I actually think it's just how we've matured as a business is incredible from the first day when I started, as I said, with half the lights on to what we've got today and what we put into the market and to our customers is something for us to be proud of.
And guys, obviously being a part of, a high performing business and such integral roles, we know Andy's touched on the golf game quite a bit, but is there some things that
I mentioned it once?
Well, yeah, I think Luke might have brought it back up.
And I'd like to play more.
So Andy's looking to play more golf, but being in that high pressure at times role, there's some things and pointers for our listeners that you might suggest great to just managing yourself, your well-being. Mental health is such a big part of our life these days.
Yeah, definitely. Look, I exercise a lot. I run every morning. I go surfing on the weekends. I like golf. Golf doesn't like me. So I'm having a few lessons at the moment. But I think just keeping busy, you've got a family, you're at their netball and just been engaged with them. So, yeah, that's what keeps me rolling.
You could ask any one of our employees. I bet you when they were 6 and 7 years old, they didn't tell their mum and dad that they can't wait to work for a timber and hardware company when they grow up. And that's being realistic. I feel and I know my brother does too, a big responsibility that everyone that works in this business to make sure that it's enjoyable, that when they wake up in the morning, they want to come to work, they feel like it's a safe place, they feel like they can build a career here, and that is so important. And so making sure that it's a fun environment, we want to be able to maintain that.
Definitely. I think there's a track record of a lot of people there for decades. 60 odd years for the oldest.
Harvey, 65 years I think it is now.
Incredible.
Yeah,
Incredible.
so
Yeah.
And he's as excited about coming to work as he probably was when he started in his first year, so which is great.
Amazing. Such a good story. Guys, we might just finish up on something we just throw at you guys, so quick questions, but just a bit of a rapid fire round. So yeah, touch on that, and
The quicker the better. Don't get hung up on your answer.
Oh, gosh.
I'm already nervous.
Do you want short answers or do you want long answers?
Short.
Okay.
Rapid fire.
Okay.
you want to kick us off, Lukey?
All right, so first one. What's your favourite product at Bowens and why?
That's a good one. This had to be quick, didn't it? I'll go the click-in system.
Why?
I think it's completely different in the way that you hang windows and it just makes sense as a product.
Yep.
Rather than nailing through the sill all the time and then the painter coming through and having to patch it up and then paint. So
Yep.
Definitely there's a market, but also for the insulation, sealing that gap around the windows with tapes, it just makes a lot of sense.
All right, that's quick enough. Andy?
My answer would be different depending on when you ask me, but I'd say weedy at the moment.
Yep.
Yeah.
Reason?
I think it's speeding up build times.
Yeah.
It's a solution for builders. So, and that's what all these innovative products are trying to do. This isn't rapid, but all those innovative products are speeding up the build time. They're taking other trades off site so that you get the job done faster.
Amazing. Andy, I think I know your answer to this next question, mate, but if you weren't working in the building industry, what would you be doing?
Do you think the answer is playing golf? or look, the likelihood is I'd be working in investment banking in New York, but that would probably wear me down after a while. So maybe designing golf,
There's
courses.
one.
Golf course architect.
Well, we're fairly similar because I always wanted to be a greenkeeper when I left school. So, but things were, not quite as easy back then. So I found myself at Bowens, and Andy spoke about it before, but had the chance to build a career, which has been the best bit about it.
Amazing.
Done well. Right, last one to wrap up. What's one piece of advice you'd offer anyone looking for a career in hardware?
I'd say go for it. Again, like it's changed so much, become such more professional industry to be involved with now. It's gone are the days where you used to leave school at year 10 and I'll just be a builder.
Let's go pull timber out of that or something like that.
It's changed completely. So you can have a meaningful career in the industry, and I think it's well worth going for.
Amazing. Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for giving us your time on a Monday morning, busy schedules. It's been awesome to have a chat. Obviously, Bowens are doing so many amazing things for the industry. So hopefully we get to chat in another 12 months or so and see what more innovative parts of the industry you're pushing through. So thanks again, guys.
Thanks, Steve.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Easiest way
Thanks,
for
Doug.
everyone to get onto your website. Can you try to get it wrong? What's the website?
It's bowens.com.au.
Fantastic. Also head over to Instagram, guys. I'm sure if you look up Bowens, you'll find some interesting stuff there. Guys, hope you enjoyed the episode. Been an absolute pleasure to have Andy and Luke on the episode. If you want to find out more about Build Insight, head over to our Instagram, build.insite. We also have the website that you can find previous podcasts, www.buildinsight.com.au, as well as links to the YouTube so you can follow along more of what we're doing. Thanks again, guys. We'll catch you on the next one. Let's cue the disclaimer. I need to let you know that myself and the Build Insight team are in no way, shape or form qualified to give you personal or specific business advice. We strongly encourage you seek out the use of professionals for products or when you are making personal or business decisions. Everything discussed during the Build Insight podcast is our own and the guest opinion and personal experience and is of a general nature only. Hope you enjoyed the episode. Catch you on the next one.